Hello, everyone. My name is George Sells, and welcome to Real Wood Matters. This is a podcast talking about the ins and outs of the forest products industry, everything from manufacturing to furniture trends. And we're joined today by Risha Gaines. Risha is with Madison County Wood Products in the Fredericktown, Farmington area. And Risha, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, George. Thanks for having me. And thank you so much for inviting me to talk on your podcast about this important topic today.
This is great. And what we want to talk about, a little tease for everyone out there, we're going to talk about being a woman in this industry, which obviously is something that is almost a little bit unique, and we'll get into that. But I also will give you a little tease. She's got one of the most interesting hobbies out there. Wait till you hear about this. We'll get into that down the road. But let me start with the basics. Tell us a little bit about Madison County Wood Products, what you guys do.
Yeah, so Madison County Wood Products is really a timber management company. We manage the entire process from the forest all the way to the consumer. So our team of skilled experts meet with the landowners, individual landowners, and decide, with them, the landowner tells them what they want to do with their timber. Maybe they want to rid it of a specific type of disease that they have going on in their timber stand, or perhaps, there's a specific species that they don't like and they'd like to rid that from their stand. Or, some landowners are actually very educated in their timber stand and realize that it's reached maturity, and soon those large trees will start dying, and they want to harvest those before they start falling and killing the younger trees that are on the ground and going to be destroyed by those trees falling. So our experts meet with those landowners, come up with a plan that fits that landowner's need, and then they match them up with one of 4 of our logging crews, and they go ahead and go in and harvest those trees that the landowner wants to take out. They come back to our sawmill where they're made into whatever that particular log can produce at the highest yield. And then we also have our truck drivers who can take that directly to the customer. So that being said, when our sawyers look at that log, they can determine what the highest yield can be of that log and what the greatest output can be for that log. So our main product being the wooden pallet. And we can make anything from a block pallet, your stringer pallets, and even a skid. And any sizes, all the sizes that are customary. And then we also have a skilled sales force that can meet with the customer and make a specific pallet to meet their needs depending on what products they're shipping. We also have customers that maybe have a more sensitive product, such as pharmaceuticals or food products, or maybe it's a long haul product going to be on the truck for a long time. Those customers are what we would call mold sensitive. So we have options to be a mold preventative on those products. We also sell hardwood lumber, manufacture hardwood lumber, railroad ties, cants, and squares. We also take pride in being a zero waste company, so we try to utilize all the byproducts that come from harvesting those logs. And so we have markets for mulch, sawdust, wood chips. We have markets for all of those. So it's really about sustainability and being as efficient as possible, and then providing the forest products industry with the products that it needs.
And the pallets as one example. This country would come to a halt without those pallets. I don't think people really think about it, but think about all the warehouses you've ever seen, or at the grocery store when they're bringing the stuff in. I mean, that's a major deal.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a saying out there, pallets move the world, and it's very true.
Let's talk a little bit about the industry. This is pretty much, I think it's fair to say, a male-dominated industry. Tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you end up doing this for a living, and was this something you wanted to do as a kid, or is it something you grew into?
So honestly, forest products and that forest industry was never really on my radar. I guess growing up, it wasn't something that was promoted as a possibility for a career, especially because it was a male-dominated field, as I was growing up. But I did know that agriculture was the sector that I wanted to work in. I grew up on my family farm. We raised cattle, and then I started showing horses at around the age of 10. And so taking care of the land and being a good steward of the land was something that I learned early on in my life. And so as I, went to college, I picked up a degree in agricultural business, animal science, speech communications. And so those things, given my background, led to the forest industry and to be a natural fit for that, given my background, my values. I enjoy being hands-on. I enjoy working with natural resources. And then also I love rural community. And that's where you find a lot of the forest industry careers is in rural communities. And so that was a natural fit. As far as getting involved within Madison County Wood Products, as my children got older, it was just kind of a natural fit. They went to school. I had a little bit more flexibility in my time during the day, and my father-in-law and husband owning the business along with their business partners, Jim Kesting and Brian Kesting. It was a natural fit for me to go to work with them, adding value where I could during the day while my children were at school. And that just naturally transpired into my current position with employee wellness and safety, and then also managing the insurance program within our company.
What was it like for you early on? First time you walk into a sawmill.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind? What's happening there?
It's very overwhelming because it's loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's dusty, and it's dangerous. And so those things were very, very scary to me. But on the flip side of that, there's the smell of the wood, and it's just the earth, and there's so much beauty in the log and the lumber and the wood, and each piece is unique. And so I have a very deep appreciation for the artistic side of the lumber. And so while it was scary at first, I've come to really appreciate it and enjoy it.
As a woman in the industry, do you feel like you bring a little bit of a different perspective? Do you bring something, just looking at things through a different set of eyes?
Oh, sure. And women in general just tend to be a little bit more detail oriented, right? And so that plays a huge role in the pallet industry specifically, because when we're looking at different boards, it's very important to notice, if is this board compromised in any way? Could this potentially not make a strong pallet? And so as those are coming through the line, it's very important to pay very close attention to those details to select the strongest boards to make the strongest pallets, so that when we send out our product to our customers, we're giving them the absolute best product every time.
Now, while women may be smaller in numbers in the industry, particularly in our association, very big on impact. Names like Laura Brookshire, Lynn Gastineau, Lacey Schmidt. Do you find yourself kind of drawn to one another when you get to events around the industry?
Oh, sure. It's great. We've been involved in the Missouri Forest Products Association ever since it's been in existence. And I personally have been attending their summer meetings for upwards of 25 plus years. And so it's really neat to see the shift in dynamics that's taking place there in those meetings. I remember when I first started attending, the families would come along with the spouses, and it was always the men attending the business meetings, and the men's bouncing ideas off of one another and bringing up questions. And as it has progressed across the years, I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, it's really neat because women are starting to attend the business sessions. Women are starting to ask questions. The trade shows, the women are promoting their products. There's, just like you mentioned with Lynn and Lacey, and then, additionally, there's Jennifer and Katie with Bakken Lumber that are very close to our region. And then, of course, Laura, those are huge players in our industry, and they're really pioneers for the women that are looking to potentially get into the forest products industry, because they're leading the way, they're setting the example, they're opening the doors and showing women that it can be done.
So how do we grow it further? Well, as an observer of where we are right now in 2025, how do we grow this? How do we attract more women into this industry?
Well, certainly things like today, right? This podcast and just getting it out there. Those women sharing their stories and us continuing to share their stories. And I think, maybe even just going into like the public high schools and talking to the kids and letting them know about the possibilities, because I know for me personally that I didn't know that it was even an option, and I happen to love it. So, to just share the experiences with our high school students and let them know that these jobs are out there and they're open to both men and women, and they're both excelling from entry level position all the way up to ownership and everything in between.
Think about the places you shop, from a Costco or Sam's Club, or to a Target or Walmart or your local grocery store. What do all these stores have in common? They use tractor trailers to haul their products on wood pallets. Those wood pallets most likely come from the state of Missouri. The Missouri forest products industry makes a lot more than just wood pallets shipping your favorite snacks from warehouse to store. Real Missouri wood products span industries and interests like hardwood floors, charcoal, bourbon barrels, railroad ties, furniture, fencing, siding, animal bedding, home building materials, fuel for homes and businesses, and so many more. Next time you walk through the aisles of your favorite store or browse online, think about all the real Missouri wood products you can purchase. Because when you choose wood, you support the more than 42,000 Missourians in the wood products industry. For more information on the benefits of real Missouri wood products, visit choosewood.com.
You talk about going into the high schools and talking to the younger people. What is your, male or female, what is your message to them? What do you want them to know about the forest products industry as far as something that can make it attractive to them, make them really be thinking about that as they get into the workforce?
Sure. So, for the forest products industry, unfortunately, it has a bad stigmatism to it, right? A lot of us think of, the olden days where the huge, massive horses were pulling logs out of the woods with chains, and we had these big burly men on two sides of a saw, and it was just a mess. And not to get me wrong, I think that's a beautiful, history, and I love that history. And there's a few that still operate with horse, and I think it's wonderful. But what children need to know, and not even children, that's our high school students, is that the advancements in technology, the advancements in safety, the advancements in every aspect of the wood industry has grown so much. We're seeing we're safety conscious, we're very safety forward thinking in our processes. We are automated from the logging woods now all the way to the end production is automated. Our saws out in the woods, our cabs, the machines are fully encased with cabs with harnesses on people, so it's very safe and automated. And when the logs come in, they're automatically debarked. The saws have lasers. It shows where the best cuts and precision for those cuts to be made. We have machines that flip pallets over, so they're automatically, the heavy lifting days are over. So the days of lifting 150 pounds plus, those are no longer. So, and then that also opens doors for women in the industry, right? And our young women especially, now is the time to get involved because our industry is thirsty. It's hungry for the next generation of leaders, the next generation of problem solvers, the next generation of forward thinkers, the innovators. We need them. We're ready for them. The industry is growing by so many leaps and bounds that we can't keep up, and we need more people to join our industry.
And different kinds of people too. It sounds like you talk about all this automation. Maybe the kid sitting in school who's into tech, who's into computers.
Absolutely.
There's sounds like a pretty big seat at the table for them.
Absolutely. Program managers, people that can design these, the automation, the scanners, the advancements are happening so quickly within our industry that more of those people with those skills are needed. And think broader, think beyond the logging woods, think beyond the sawmills. Think about our lobbyists that lobby for our causes up in DC, right? Or the Laura Brookshires that are out there communicating and promoting our businesses amongst the industries and the foundation. So it's more than what people think in just a sawmill or a logging. There is so many opportunities. There's accounting, there's HR, there is a huge advancement that we're making, that we're seeing is so many decisions prior to just 5 years ago were made just off the cuff or what we know from experience, right? But now we have the automation that end of the lines are giving us hard data, hard numbers that we can take back to our brainstorming tables and make data-driven decisions. So it's becoming such a more forward-thinking and like I said, innovative, and we're learning more and more ways to reduce waste and to become more sustainable and green. Everyone wants to go green, right? And we're getting there. And so it's just, and it has so much to offer for everybody.
Tell me this. Obviously, we just hit on a bunch of changes and a bunch of progress. Is there one thing that, like, from the first day that you walked into this industry to today, is there one thing that jumps out at you as like, wow, that's just completely different?
Yeah, for sure. I think the automation for sure has been the one thing that has just advanced tenfold within the last 20 years. Um, and it's made such a large improvement on the quality of work environment for the individuals because they're not having to do as many repetitive movements. They're not having to do as many heavy lifting, that type of thing. And it's making their job more efficient. And then it, in turn, is providing a product so much quicker to our customers. So it's just wonderful all the way around. And so I would say that's probably the biggest change is the automation that's happening in our industry.
Now, this is kind of a loaded question considering you've got lots of family, but who are in the business. But is there, who's the mentor? Who's the person that's been your inspiration through all this?
Sure. So within the industry, I would really have to say my father-in-law and his business partner, Jim Kesting, because they really took Madison County Wood Products when they joined forces together. They took it from less than 40 employees in to triple that now with multiple locations, 3 locations now to be exact. And so to know the sacrifices that they made to get it to where it is now is very, very instrumental in encouraging me to continue on the path, just knowing what they have overcome to get to where they are. And then, of course, my husband is just, he's very forward thinking and an innovator and just looking into the future, and he loves the staff. He loves the people. And so to see that joy that he has and how he wants the business to succeed, him and his business partner, actually, Brian Kesting is the same way. They love the staff. They love the team. And so they not only want the business to succeed for them, but it's more importantly, they want it to succeed for the team because they want to provide a better livelihood for them. And so that's super encouraging. And then one additional very huge motivator to me is Steve Snotsmith, who is on the recycling side of the wooden pallet industry, but he has taken his business to great lengths and is very successful. And so I always look to him as inspiration as well within the industry.
And you talk about that success piece, that longing for success piece. And I'll throw in the association question here. How helpful is it to have this group that a lot of people, a lot of different parts of the industry, but really kind of all coming together as one for Missouri products? How instrumental is that in the potential for future success and growth?
Oh, it's great because, one, they have products that maybe we can utilize and or vice versa. And then also, maybe they've used a piece of machinery. So we can go watch that machinery work. We can see how it works for them and how it might be applicable to our situation. And then also, hey, we have, XYZ from OSHA, this problem going on, what do you do to remedy this? And just bouncing ideas off of each other is just huge. To have like-minded people in the same industry all together in one pool, we're all rooting for the same thing and we understand the industry. So to have that resource and people that we can draw information from and vice versa is just phenomenal and wonderful resource.
So if you're out there listening and you're not a member, there's a
need to join.
It's not that expensive either. You can join up. There are a lot of benefits to it.
Absolutely.
Now, I promised the hobby question. I was talking to Brian Brookshire, and he told me you cannot sit down with Risha and not talk about horses. So please tell me about the horses. Tell me about dressage.
Yeah. So I tend to talk about horses a lot. So you might just have to tell me to be quiet if I ramble on too much. But horses have always been a huge part of my life. I grew up with my aunt owning horses. And from the moment I could speak, that's all I ever asked for. So for birthdays and Christmas, I never wanted anything but a horse. And so eventually my parents decided I wasn't going to quit asking. So they decided to get me horse riding lessons and told the instructor to basically make me do everything that was miserable so I would hate them and not want to continue down the horse road. And that didn't work. So I think I got my first horse around the age of 9 or 10. And I have pretty much owned horses ever since, with the exception of 1 or 2 years there where I was having children. But now, I have shown horses competitively growing up, and now all 3 of my daughters have ridden horses, and still do on occasion. But one in particular has just really taken it to the next level and just really loves riding horses. She shows primarily dressage. And so for those of you out there that don't know what dressage is, it's the if you watch the Olympics, it's the white arena with the letters along the wall, and you basically have a pattern. And as you advance in your skills, you have different skills that you have to display within a different set of those letters within those parameters. And so we just came back from our regional show past weekend, and she did really well. Last year, she took national champion on her horse in the 10 and under age division, and so she's living on cloud 9 right now.
I was gonna say, you're gonna have to grease her ears to get her through the door. Is she getting kind of a little cocky here?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. No, she's pretty grounded. She's a good kid, and she just really loves the horses.
That's gotta be exciting for you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool deal. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. So let's one last sort of big picture industry question, and that would simply be, what do you see as the future for women in this industry?
Sure.
Take out your crystal ball.
Yeah. So really the sky's the limit for women in the forest products industry. With all the advancements that we're making in technology and automation, and it's just not stopping, it's just continuing and on and on. And so really what women need to realize is, we've been predominantly a male dominated spectrum for a while, but that is shifting. The dynamics are shifting. The doors are wide open. Really, a woman can excel in just about any aspect of the forest products industry that they're interested in. I really can't think of a single part of the forest products industry that they wouldn't be able to be a part of. Anything from any entry-level production situation, maintenance. We've even had at Madison County Wood Products, so maintenance lady at one point. And you know that very well. That's a male-dominated field, and she did quite well. So there's not any single area. We've got women now. We just spoke about, Lynn and Lacey and Jennifer and Katie and, of course, Laura. The women are owning businesses in our industry now. And so if you can own a business, then that woman can certainly do anything in between, right? Anything up into that. So I would just really encourage our young men and women both to explore the options within the forest products industry, especially young women. Don't assume that old stigmatism or that old perception of the industry is true, because it's not. The doors are open. We are welcoming to any lady that's interested in the industry. Now's the time to get involved. If you're forward thinking, if you're innovative, if you're a problem solver, if you enjoy getting creative, this is the industry for you. And I would say, come join us.
Leaders wanted.
Absolutely.
Risha Gaines, Madison County Wood Products, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. And we want to thank you for joining us here on Real Wood Matters. You can visit us online at choosewood.com, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.